Hello, hello, hello. Happy Monday, y'all, and welcome back. It's been a minute to Amplify Your Brains Mondays. This is my weekly time that I come to give you the tools to activate your faith alongside your purpose as you start or grow your business. So beyond excited to be here. So I'm going to give you a couple seconds to see I'm live. Listen, I've been on hiatus. I'm trying to make sure all my apparatuses are working. Come on in and tell me name and where you're from, whether you're here live or watching a replay. You'll see me look here to the side. I'm looking at my iPad here, and then you'll see me look down. I'm trying to put my clock up. Here's the thing: I am fully committed to be here for 30 minutes. 30 minutes of activation every Monday night. So, couple of things. If you've missed any of the previous episodes, hey, my Yolanda, welcome, welcome. I want to remind you to go on over to my my YouTube channel. You can go back and watch. I started a series at the top of January. Really, something got put on my spirit, which was to walk through the story of Esther, and Esther be our guide for this year. So we have gone through three of the sections, the 7-part journey that we will take together in 2021. So the first was strength and dignity. And again, my YouTube channel is nrjnetwork.com. You can go back and watch any of these previous episodes. And I walked you through some great insight around how Esther, my favorite character in the Bible, if you've not heard Esther's story, I walked through a great overview in our very first episode of Amplify Your Brilliance Monday. Then I walked through our second series, which is Keep Your Eyes on the Prize. Again, all of this is in alignment with you becoming the highest and best version who God created you to be. And yes, that's for you, entrepreneur. Yes, that's for you, purpose-focused woman. Then 3 was Don't Stay Stuck. So today I start series 4, but I want you to know the way I teach, everything I teach, one builds on the next. So you need all 7 of these series if you're really going to stand in the full power of who you are purposed to be. And I see more of you coming in, so say hello as you're coming in, right? By the way, if you want to share this, I want to share the video because I don't see it going live in my Facebook group. So let me quickly, this is how you know I'm live. I want to quickly make sure this gets shared in my Facebook group. So let me share it. Join us, right? And while I'm doing this, a couple of things. If I share anything that resonates with you, I want you to tell me. If what I'm saying is good to you, hey, my Renata, hey, girl, hey. If what I'm saying is good, it resonates with you, give me some hearts. If I step on your toes, give me some fire emojis, right? So I'm literally starting a series, part 4 of this series. And it's a series in a series, right? So this is part 4. Part 4 is knowing God intimately. And here's what I want you to get about this. It's into me I see. When I talk about intimacy, it's into me I see. And so if you're going to know God, you've got to know the woman God created you to be. So our Bible verse for this week is Genesis 1:27 and 28. And I'm going to read them really quickly, okay? There's Genesis 1:27 and 28. And again, if you have questions, thoughts, comments, I want to hear from you as I share. I forgot to put my clock back up. And again, I'm always committed to be here for 30 minutes. Why? Because y'all are busy. But I want to give you insight and activation to move your purpose forward, all right? So with that, Genesis 1:27 and 28. So those of you that don't know the story of Genesis is all about creation. So this is where God begins to create us, right? So 1:27 and 28 reads, so God created man in his own image. In the image of God, he created man, male and female, he created them. Then 28 says, then God blessed them and God said to them, be fruitful and multiply, fill the earth and subdue it, have dominion. And then he starts to list all the things he wants them to have dominion over, which is pretty much everything, right? So I really want you to get this. When you begin to know, hitting my microphone, when you begin to know God intimately, it's knowing who he created you to be. And so as we begin this series, this is something God placed on my spirit a couple years ago. And let me be honest with you. When God told me it was time now, let me tell you, typically when God places something on my spirit, it's for me. I have no intention to teach it. This is me being transparent. And then once I learn the lesson, I dig deep and I get good at it and I get it for me. Then God says, okay, now I want you to teach it. So when God told me first that he wanted me to be fruitful and multiply, this was in 2019, right? This was 2018. He told me this. I was 49. And I was like, hold on, Lord. Now, when I hear fruitful and multiply, I think having a baby. And I love you, but I ain't trying to be disobedient. But I ain't trying to have a baby at 49. Now, I've not naturally birthed any children of my own. I have great bonus children. I'm actually a grandmother, thanks to them. But I've not gave birth to a child. And at 49, I wasn't trying to be disobedient, but I was like, "Ugh, I don't know if I'm feeling that, Lord. Are you sure you meant that for me?" And what God began to show me is He wasn't talking about childbirth. He was showing me that as He created each of us in His image, He created us to multiply. And so Genesis 1:28 says what? Be fruitful, multiply, have dominion. So over time, in the next 3 weeks, really 4 weeks, I'm going to walk you through what God showed me, which is what I now call the DFM formula. And let me say this to you. I'm going to walk through this first step, the D of the DFM formula. I'm going to walk through it quickly, but I'm also right now doing a Clubhouse series now. Put that on the screen because every morning at 8:30, I'm peeling back the layers and giving you more. Mondays, it'll be 30 minutes. So I'm summarizing what I talked about all last week, Monday through Friday on Clubhouse. This week, I'm in the second step of DFM, and I'm sharing that with you because I can only do so much 30 minutes here. But on Clubhouse every morning, I'm going deeper into each concept. Okay. So I want to invite you to join me on Clubhouse at 8:30 in the morning. So on Mondays, you can get some in the morning and in the evening. I'm just saying, right? So dominion is what we're focused on this week. Dominion. I have my notes here because y'all know me. You know I can talk, and I'm committed to be here for 30 minutes, right? So again, as I'm sharing with you, if anything's resonating with you, if any you find any value, I want you to post if you have questions, all of that, okay? So with that, first of all, you gotta know what does dominion mean? It means to dominate, right? I left my definition over here. I want to make sure I say all of it correctly, right? It means to dominate. It means to have authority over. That's the good part of the definition I wanted to make. I knew dominate. But you have to understand that God created you with something so special that you have an area to dominate in, to have dominion and to have authority over. The question is, do you know what it is? So you know, already know my charge to you is to figure out what it is, right? So the first step to do that is to be clear and stand in the power of your DNA. Your DNA is just distinct natural ability. And if you've been around me a while, you've heard me talk about DNA. Now, here's the thing that I think is so interesting about DNA. When God creates each of us, we have like 2.4 billion cells in us, right? Yes, Renata, I love it. I love it. She said, right. I can stay in my own lane and live abundantly. Yes, right. See, there's abundance that is your birthright. It's tied to your dominion. I'm gonna show you in the next 3 weeks, y'all. You're gonna have an eye opener. Those of you that haven't heard me talk about this, by the way, some of this is in my new book. So I've been doing a whole lot of research. Though, I'll tell you about that when it comes. But here's the thing I want you to get. I see this. What is this piece doing? Okay, there it goes. So you have distinct natural ability. Each of us have 2.4 billion cells that make up our DNA. And yet no two of us have the same molecular makeup. Isn't that deep? See, when God created you, He knew exactly who He wanted you to be. See, your parents might not have planned you, but you were definitely planned by God. He put you here on purpose for a purpose. The question is, do you know what it is? Do you spend the time? And see, this is where knowing God intimately allows you to see into you, into me. I see. Have you taken time to get clear on what your DNA is? What's the thing that you're so great at? What's the thing that people come to you for? What's the thing that God put you on this earth to do? So that's step one. And then you got to stand in the power of it. You've got to be clear and uncompromising. Those of you that have heard me ever talk about Fierce and Beyonce and Sasha Fierce, the thing I love about the whole concept of Sasha Fierce is Beyonce created Sasha Fierce when God was calling her to her next level. I really need you to understand this. Yes, Yolanda, you know I got Jeremiah 1:5. I'll read it in a second, y'all, right? Because that's already, look, in my Bible, right? Already pre-marked in my Bible. So listen, Beyonce created Sasha Fierce when God was calling her to play a bigger game. Many of you guys are sitting and complacent and good enough, and you're not standing in the full power of your DNA. And so for Beyonce to go to her next level and go after where God was calling her to be, she had to conjure up this alter ego. I like to use her for an example because the thing I love about Beyonce is she never settles for yesterday. She's always reaching to her tomorrow. See, she doesn't look at her. Listen, I'm never satisfied for my 2021 version. She's done. I planned her a few years ago. I'm working on my 2030 version of me. I never sit and all the things I've done. Those are great. I can list out all the accomplishments I've done. All are great. Thank God for every one of them. But that's done. What's next? How do I grow from there? How do I grow my gift to maximize it on another level? That's what Sasha Fierce is a symbol of for me. And that is what I believe all of us are called to be clear and uncompromising and to grow it. We'll talk about growing it next week, right? And so you've got to be clear and uncompromising and be unapologetic. You've also got to understand that there's a niche to it. That's step two, by the way. What's your niche? Or what I like to call, what's your USP? What's your unique serving position? Because you're not everybody's answer, but you are somebody's answer. And what I see so many women do, number one, they're not clear in their DNA. And then they don't niche it out. They don't get clear on their USP. And so they say things like, I serve every woman. No, you don't. Every woman's not your ideal client. I serve every family. No, you don't. Sorry to tell you. Those of you that have been around and have heard me ever tell my story, I suffered and failed in business for 17 years. Why? Because this is what I used to say. I serve every woman from 17 to 70. Yeah, that was not real. And because of that, I wasn't profitable. And it's not just profit about money, it's about also profit about all the people that profit, that do well, that produce good fruit because I stand in my gift. Same for you. So when you begin to understand the unique lane God created you to dwell in, when you begin to understand the target, now I wish I had a target in front of me, right? Didn't think to bring it, a picture of a target. But if I drew a target, do I have a piece of paper over here somewhere? You guys should see my because right before I come on, I pray and then I have notes everywhere. And I don't have, look, all my paper has NRJ Enterprise on the back of it, so I can't even use a back of a piece of paper. I see more of you joining me, so say hello. Like my grandmother used to say, don't come in the house and not speak. Don't come in the house and not speak, y'all. Say hello at least and tell us where you're from. So a target has 3 rings on it, right? Just imagine a target. I'll have on my notes in here so you can't see that. Okay, I'm gonna try to draw it on this, right? This is my notes from a minute ago. Drawing a target real quick. Can you guys see my little horribly drawn target there? So if I was aiming at the target, wouldn't I just aim at the middle? I wouldn't be aiming at the second ring or the third ring, right? If I had a bow and arrow, I would never aim at the second or the third ring. Well, that's what happens when you're not clear. You're aiming all outside, and what happens if I aimed at the second or third ring and I have my bow and arrow? I probably would miss the target altogether. So that's why you've got to get clear on who do you focus on? And guess what? You also aren't every answer. Hey, Eunice, welcome, girl in Alabama. You're not every answer. Hey, Nicole. Hi, this is so on time for me. I appreciate you, girl. I'm gonna tell you we can get more. So listen, I want y'all to get this. You're not everybody's answer. So when you're not clear, listen, a confused mind doesn't buy. A confused mind you'll never serve. A confused mind won't see you as their answer. How can you get the diagnosis right? Or how can you get the prescription right if the diagnosis is wrong? If you went to the doctor misdiagnosed you, how many of y'all have dealt with that? So if you don't take the time to really understand what you are the answer to and who is for, your business will fail point blank, period. I don't care if you have a PhD. I don't care how brilliant you are. I don't care if you work with President Obama. I don't care if Oprah is on speed dial, your business will fail. Because if people don't understand why they should come to you, doesn't matter how brilliant you are, you are holding up someone's answered prayer. You realize that your gift is somebody's answered prayer. So I'm so passionate about teaching you guys this because money is the gift God gives you that comes back to you, abundance, and that's not just money. If I dare say that, the life that I live is because I have worked really, really hard to be obedient. Is it easy to start a business? I will not lie to you, no. But it's worth everything I've ever gone through. I've risked it all and gained it all, and God has given me so much because I've been willing and uncompromising. So the life I live now is because I've been doing this for 28 years. The life I live now is because I failed miserably. The passion that I have for all of you is because I don't want you to feel the way I did, right? What I am going through is not for me, it's for others, right? Yolanda said, right? Because I really want y'all to get that. I really want you to understand it. So the more you hone in, the more you can serve that group of people. The more you hone in, the more your language speaks directly to them. Other people will still come to you. There'll be some men on this group, and I don't even speak to men. Doesn't mean I don't serve men. I have male clients always say I serve a few good men because men still come. But I'm clear. I'm ordained. Dare I say, I'm sanctified to serve women. The question is, do you know who you're sanctified and ordained to serve? I'll tell you that in a minute when I read this last Bible verse. And number three, so number one is you need to stand in the power of your DNA, your distinct natural ability, be uncompromising, be bold. And will it offend some people? It will, right? But you're not everybody's answer. So stop trying to make your gift fit in what everybody's not meant to. Some people will be offended by it. Some people will talk about you. But I always say, all the people that talked about me are talking about me on the bus while I'm in a limo. I'm just saying. I said it just like that. What's your target market? What's your unique serving position? What's your USP? What's your niche? You got to know that. That's number two. So, what's your DNA? What's your distinct natural ability? What does it speak to specifically and for who specifically? And then, third, you got to stay in your lane. You don't shift with the tide. Like if you see, oh, let me look at Yolanda's business is successful. I'm gonna do my business like Yolanda. Or Eunice is successful. Or Nicole Bolden, not me. Her business is successful. Or Renata. You cannot shift because of seed, time, and harvest. If you water your seed and you keep watering your seed and you keep watering your seed, at one point, when you water your seed, this is the ground, right? You plant a seed, it's under the ground. You can't see it. You keep watering that seed and keep watering that seed, and at some point it'll grow. But if you stop watering it, at some point it will die. So what happens when you stop watering this seed and you go water a different seed because you see somebody else is doing something over here that looks like, oh, well, this isn't working, so I'm going to stop doing this altogether. I'm going to go do what Renata's doing. What happens is you choke out the seed of your DNA, your distinct natural ability. And it will never grow. It'll never be fruitful and prosper. We'll talk about fruitful next week. It will never produce good results because you're not taking the time to grow it. You're not taking the time to focus in on it and love only on it. And stop trying to be everything to everybody, which means you're nothing to no one. Stop trying to please everybody else and please God. Whoever's meant to be in your life will definitely get in alignment. Trust and believe, right? Right. Nicole said, yep, and become burnt out because you're doing too much, right? Of course, I said I had Mark, Jeremiah, and that was actually Romans. So let me look up Jeremiah 1:5. I want to end with that because literally, let me see if I know my Bible verse today. My Bible. There it is, Jeremiah. Because look, no pressure, but everybody looking at me trying to find Jeremiah right after Isaiah. Okay, so listen, I want you guys to understand this. The Bible is a textbook. It gives you some great insight, but when you begin to learn God intimately, you begin to know you because God is who created you. And the more you spend time, and I literally every week I give you guys a worksheet. The more you spend time, who I am is because I spend time. Now, I'll be honest with you, I'm in the middle of moving, so I have not been able to spend my time like I would want to. And what God said to me last week when I felt guilty because I haven't been spending my time, He said this. He said, I've given you all the note you need. I'll give you what you need. You do what I say and don't worry about time right now. I was like, okay, Lord, right? But I'm telling you that because I am who I am, because I spend time, because I dig deep, because I study. And I don't study so I can tell somebody else I do it. I study because I'm trying to get to know God. I'm trying to get to know who He created me to be. The more I study how I'm made, the more I study how He made me, the better I become. Jeremiah 1:5. Now, I love this story before I read it. It's a conversation Jeremiah is having with God, right? Ooh, come on. Go ahead, Renata, write a whole dictionary, girl. There's enough problems for each of us to serve that we don't have to be or try to take from someone else. Like Nicole said in Clubhouse, there's many nail salons on the same block. The second and third salon is not worried about each other because they know that they offer and what they serve. God has handpicked clients for each of us. That is so real. But you got to know what your DNA is because people will be in alignment with this. So listen, when you get me, you get, of course, you get a lot of Jesus. You get a lot of I like to have fun. And you might get a little ratchet because I like hip hop. Clean hip hop, but I still like it. That's who I be. What's interesting is when my husband and I started dating, I'm also CEO. And the thing that he said to me, so off script, so off conversation. But I remember we were dating. He said, let me explain to you. There's only one. No, we got married. He said, there's only one CEO in this house. I was like, okay, I like that. Go ahead. Tell me about that. Right. Because I was trying to run him too. I'm so used to running stuff. He's like, you ain't running nothing in this house. We do it together. Yes, baby. Put me in my place. Love it. Anyway. So with that said, let me go back to Jeremiah 1:5. So this is a conversation that Jeremiah is having with God. And I really want you guys to get this. Because I know for me, when God called me to this work in 1993 at 23 years old, I had no idea how to do any of it. Was I scared? Yes. but I was more committed to God than I was my own fear. And by the way, your faith doesn't get activated until you're in the face of fear. Mhm. And so this is the same thing that Jeremiah was dealing with, right? So God is telling Jeremiah this. Now, let me start. Okay. Then the word of the Lord came to me. This is Jeremiah talking, saying, and this is God talking to Jeremiah, okay? Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I sanctified you. I ordained you a prophet to the nations. Then said I, and read the whole thing, I'm not gonna read all of it. God, behold, I can't speak. I'm a youth. So he's saying, Lord, I stutter. I'm too young to do this. But God said to me, he said, but the Lord said to me, do not say I'm a youth, for you shall go to all to whom, excuse me, for you shall go to all to whom I send you, and wherever I command you, you shall speak. Do not be afraid of their faces, for I am with you to deliver you, said the Lord. Now take time. That's 1 through 8. And then 9 says, then the Lord put forth his hand and touched my mouth, and the Lord said to me, and it goes on and on. The reason I'm reading that is because it really does. And I remember God showed me this because at 23, I was young. And for some of you, it might not be that you felt too young. Some of you might feel like I'm too old to start. Some of you might feel like I don't have enough money to start. I can go on and on about all the excuses that you could give God. But listen, God already knows who you are. He's not checking your bank account. He's not checking if you're ready. He's checking your faith. Will you do what I'm calling you to do? What will you take the seed I placed in you and become the highest and best version of who I created you to be? Will you get in alignment with your assignment? hmm Right? Here's what Yolanda said. As I spend time with God, I come to know him and believe in him, which leads to knowledge, belief in myself. Yes. It really does. So your faith, the more you can activate your faith, the more you will grow. So who I am is a great believer of God. Who I am is God's girl because I have a relationship. I don't believe in religion. I believe in relationship. What I mean by that is the more I get to know God, the more I get to know me. The more I get to know God, the more I get to know how he created me. That's the intimacy into me I see. I want to encourage you during this series, this part of our series. Because if you read Esther's story, she had one of the greatest challenges of her life come to her. I'm not going to tell you the whole story, but Esther had a decision to make. She could either stand in the gap for her people, or she could be the queen and just live big and not say a word. Put her feet up, eat some nice grapes, probably have people fanning her, and let all her people die. But what she decided to do was stand in the gap for her people. But the first thing she said is, I'm going to fast and pray. She wanted to get direction. That's that intimacy. And so I want to encourage you as you continue on your own journey to start your business, as you continue on your own journey to grow your business, to take the time to have intimacy. So every week here in Amplify Your Brilliance Mondays, I give you a journal. Now I dropped the journal in my Facebook group. I hate this. Hold on, let me take the ticker out because I hate that it does that. Okay, now let's put it back without the ticker. So you go into my Facebook group and you have to join. I ask you questions. Let me tell you why I ask questions for you to join my Facebook group. Because that's how I serve you. That's how I know what your needs are. That's how I know where you are in your business, right? So go and join. It's thebridgetribe.com. And at 7:30, as soon as this ends, I always drop it right at 7:30. It's pre-programmed, already dropped to be dropped in there. And that's the journal. By the way, if you've missed any of the other pieces in the first, this is week 21 of this year. If you missed week 1 through 20, all of them are there. When you go into the Facebook group, go into the files section and you can download each one, right? And so I'm going to encourage you over the next week to spend some time. Get to know the DNA in you. Get to know the God that created you. Get to know the intimacy that's already present because he saw into you when he created you. He saw the exact way he wanted to use you at this moment in time. And you are holding up somebody's blessing. So listen, every morning I want to also invite you to join me. So every morning I am on Clubhouse. Let me get that up here. 8:30 a.m. If you go to Nicole, it should say on, not one. Let me edit that. Nicole on clubhouse.com is where you go to that. Nicole on Clubhouse. So I'm on Clubhouse every morning at 8:30. So last week I did Dominion. This week I started Fruitful, just started it today, which is the second step in the series. So by the way, what I'm walking you through is what I now call the Dfm Formula, Dominion, Fruitful, Multiply. So Dominion is what I just walked you through. This week, I'm doing Fruitful. I'm doing it on Clubhouse every morning. And the thing that's different with Clubhouse is I can hear you. So you can ask questions. I can coach you wherever you're stuck. So bring your questions in the morning. I share about 15 minutes and then about 15 minutes of answering questions. If we go over, I allow it because here's the thing. This is me doing what God put me on earth to do, what He sanctified and ordained me to do. And all of you that are stuck on ordained just being for somebody in the pulpit, I need you to look up the definition because I didn't bring it, right? Look up the sanctified definition in the dictionary, which means set apart. Look at ordained dictionary definition in dictionary, which I can't remember what that means. So let me look it up now, real quick, right? And I really want you guys to understand this. God ordained you. Ordained definition. So it says, of course, it says priest and all that, but I'm not talking about that definition. Hold on, I'm trying to go to Merriam-Webster's. Okay, so it says to establish or order by appointment, decree. See, God appointed you at birth for special work. You were appointed, decreed, set apart. You have special way that He wired you. Hey, Levon, I see you, girl. I love all my clients are here, right? And so with that, that's our episode for this week. That's our episode this week because you have dominion. It's time for you to take your, listen, I'm going to say it like this. It's time for you to take your place. What just came in my mind is, do you guys remember the Tyler Perry movie where I think this is family reunion, maybe where all the elders, they were at a barbecue. Remember the scene? And Cicely Tyson is making a speech to all the young women in the family. Y'all remember this? And she says, it's time for you to take your place. Well, I'm here's your sister friend to call you out because it's time for you to take your place. See, there's a crown waiting for you. There's authority for you. There's dominion for you. There's a kingdom that is waiting for you that only you can dwell in. The question is, will you do what it takes? Will you grow it? Will you get clear on it? Will you spend the time to get to know God and how He created you? If you have questions around that, yes. Yes. Thank you, Yolanda. Yolanda said, yes, family reunion. Right. Y'all remember that scene? If you have questions, join me tomorrow morning on Clubhouse. It's there on the screen, right? Join me on Clubhouse in the morning. I know I've given you a lot of different websites. So 8:30 a.m. Monday through Friday, I'm on Clubhouse. You can go to NicoleOnClubhouse.com. So where you find me tomorrow morning, the link will change. So NicoleOnClubhouse.com. So that's one. If you want to get the worksheets that I give every Monday, thebridgetribe.com, go into the file section. All right. So with that said, thank you for joining me for another episode of Amplify Your Brains Monday. It's my honor and my pleasure to serve you so that you can become the highest and best version of who God created you to be. I'll see y'all next Monday for another episode. Again, thank you for letting me serve you in this way.